Some observations on why ESD hasn't been incorporated into new housing estates. There's certainly an industry reluctance to change. They've got a model they've been doing for a long time, the volume builders, and they want to deliver a simple product, they don't want to change. Probably the biggest issue that comes up is housing affordability. People say that we can't incorporate these other measures because it will affect housing affordability. Now, stone bench tops and melee appliances seem to be a pretty standard inclusion in houses these days. But for mine, that's affecting housing affordability, but no one ever questions it. So I think the real reason that ESD is not being included, well, apart from those reasons and the pushback from people, is that ESD is still voluntary in housing estates. We have existing ESD tools. They're voluntary. There's Green Start Communities, which is a great tool, and Environment Development, which is a great tool. But the problem is that they're not being applied. They're being considered to be a little bit too complex, and developers don't have to do them. Subdivision developers and builders don't have to implement these sustainability tools because they are voluntary. The council area that we've been working in, there's 52 housing estates being built at the moment. There's no Green Star Communities estates being built, and there's 2 Environment Development estates being built. So that really demonstrates that 2 out of 52 of the estates have an added level of sustainability, and it's because they're voluntary, and it's because developers don't see the need to do them. So, 4 opportunities to talk about. I could talk about a lot more if you talk to me later on about things, or we have a conversation later. But certainly, the big opportunity is embedding sustainability at the master plan stage of a suburb. So, in Victoria, and I'm presuming it's similar in other states, but I'm not 100% certain, our Central Planning Authority designs a new suburb. Now, when it's in the growth areas, they don't do any ESD reports at the moment. Which is disappointing, and look, they are revising things at the moment, so we're hoping to see ESD included in the next iteration of their guidelines. But for the moment, ESD reports have been prepared for our infill suburbs. Our large infill developments are getting very significant ESD reports, which are embedding ESD early in the process, but it doesn't happen in the growth areas. And as I said, showed with the earlier slide, the growth area represents, in Melbourne, it's representing 30% of new houses. So to not have ESD reports and embedding ESD in the growth areas is a major problem and a missed opportunity. The second significant opportunity is to do with off-road paths. Again, this image on the left is a design of a suburb master plan, basically. So what happens is that the suburb master plan is designed by the central state authority, the planning authority, and then subdivision developers come in and buy parcels of that and do their designs that roughly fit the design of this master plan. So off-road paths are something that can be impacted at the suburb master plan stage, but they can also be impacted at the subdivision design stage. So this opportunity crosses over to both areas. But the issue is that we've got plenty of off-road paths, but they're designed as a feature of the road, as a function of the road network. So the traffic planners come in and work out the road network, and once you've decided what level of road you're getting, that determines whether you get an off-road bicycle path or sort of shared path or not. Now, the problem with that is the paths don't always go to destinations, and they're not always continuous, and it's not designed as a network, as a coherent network. It's really just totally a function of the road network. So the problem with that is you get gaps in your paths, and a gap in a bicycle path or a shared path means that people don't use the path. So again, we've got not fantastic paths, but lots of paths, but they're not connected and they're not continuous. And if you look at the blue lines up here, for example, blue lines are connector roads, and they have an off-road shared path beside them. Now, this particular suburb master plan is a very recent one, and we've researched in our project 5 or 6 of these, and we found the same problem with all of them. This one's one of the better ones, but the yellow areas where I've marked in, the yellow lines, what I've marked in, they're just showing the gaps in the paths. If you live down the bottom end of this suburb and wanted to travel to the activity centre and the proposed train station at the top end, You want to ride along the blue path, you obviously hit these spots where the yellow is, and that's where the path ends. So you have to turn left or turn right, potentially take your bike onto a road, putting in paths and not taking the time to design them as a network. So we're spending the money on the infrastructure, but we're not designing a network. A simple solution to the process is basically to have a plan. When a subdivision is designed, there's about 16 to 17 plans are completed, and there's no plan. There's a plan that shows you bicycle paths, and there's a plan that shows you destinations, but they're not actually combined into one plan. So that's all I'm asking, or suggesting should be done, is that we combine the bicycle routes and the destinations, and make sure the bicycle and shared walking routes, the off-road paths, are connecting our destinations. And I'm talking about between schools, between activity centres, to transport hubs, parks, community centres, sporting facilities. They're the destinations that we want to link up with these off-road paths to ensure that the young kids are riding on them, and ensure that the older people are riding on them. The whole community is using these paths. Sorry, I keep talking about riding, there's walking as well, and skateboarding and scootering, all encompassing active transport, but we want to use these paths for active transport. Some interesting stats here. We know the principles of active transport. It brings health, mental health and physical health, fitness. If you're outside your cocoon of your car and you're travelling around your community, you are going to have more interaction with people. There's no buffer between you and your neighbours. Active transport opportunities, where you have successful paths that go to destinations, mean you don't need to do all your trips in the car. So it raises the opportunity for families becoming one-car families. If someone's working in the city and you want to catch the train to the city, they can ride or scooter to the train station and leave the car at home for the person who's at home. The slide on the left, on the right-hand side, was a really interesting one. The Yarra Ranges is a growth area council to the east of Melbourne, and it was very surprising when we saw that stat from the Institute for Sustainable Transport, a recent study they've been doing, that 53% of car trips are less than a kilometre. Now, if you can get people out of the habit of jumping into a car and trialling something else, then that's going to really have a massive impact on the sustainability of our communities. The other reason we need these off-road paths to be working for us like they do in Holland and they do in Denmark is that we're on the cusp of a transport revolution. Electric bikes, electric scooters, electric skateboards, even the personal sort of electric wheels, electric shoes almost, are things that are likely to change in the next, come on board in a big way in the next 5 years. They certainly are already taking off in Asia, some parts of America and Europe. We've got to have the infrastructure in place so that we can actually, take advantage of these electric versions of our current active transport options, which is likely to bring a lot more people on board using active transport.